Pathmonk is the AI for website conversions. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in the buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathmonk qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50% by adding Pathmonk to your website in seconds, letting the AI do all the work and increase conversions while you keep doing marketing as usual. Check us out on pathmonk.com. Hey, everybody, welcome back to today's episode of Pathmonk Presents. Today, we are joined by Karthik. He's the lead generation director at Agendrix. Karthik, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Rick. It's lovely to be here.
It's lovely to have you. And let's start with the basics. Maybe if you can just give us a glimpse into the company you work for, Agendrix. What's the big idea behind it, and how would you describe what you do to someone that's never heard about it?
Sure thing. The simplest way to describe it is Agendrix is an HR software for workforce management. We make life easier for small business owners and managers at predominantly deskless jobs when it comes to scheduling their shifts, moving shifts around, tracking attendance and time, building timesheets, preparing for payroll, helping communicate with team members without relying on SMS or text messages and Facebook Messenger, managing HR records, document signatures, basically everything you would expect an HR tool to do without a fancy price tag, because we're all about helping small and medium businesses. Think in industries like restaurants or hotel janitorial staff, senior care homes. That's why I said deskless earlier. So what we do really well is provide a very intuitive user interface on mobile apps and on desktops, just to make it seamless so that managers can focus on what they do best, which is delighting their customers, delighting their clients, rather than on paperwork, on making sure things are running smoothly, because the software takes care of it for you.
Okay, that's great. Now you mentioned deskless industries, right? So hospitality, as you said, and a couple other industries. Now, is that where you think where your product really shines? And is there a specific problem maybe in those industries that you help these people solve, and maybe a specific experience they can expect when they work with you? I'm just trying to understand a little bit, because obviously deskless, right? It's pretty self-explanatory. And these people are always on the go. They're always busy, right? Because it gets really busy.
Exactly.
So how does that work exactly for them?
That's right. So the main problem we solve for these industries, and while I mentioned a couple and you added a couple, it's actually the fact that unlike most businesses, we don't have a very heavy concentration in any single industry. In fact, there are about 14 different industries that constitute at least a respectable chunk of our business. So that could be, like you mentioned, hospitality, restaurants, retail stores, pharmacies, clinics, and even construction squads, people working in, remote job sites. The best part of it is, although we are a software which can be used on mobile, relies on the internet for, syncing data, it can be used offline. You can log in your check-in and check-out, even using a landline phone number by placing a phone call and just punching in a code. So the software is built from the ground up with an eye on being usable in almost all these different contexts. And the key is to make sure that employees and employers can trust each other through a reliable medium that they can communicate on, where they know what their responsibilities are, what time the employee needs to check in, did they complete the tasks that they are expected to do on a given particular shift or a location, And at the same time, have all of the information about the employee, like the employee profile, their employee onboarding details, their emergency contacts, their timesheets, all of them in one single place. They could even message each other. Employees can recognize the good work of another of their peers. Managers can recognize and give them like high fives. That's the name of the feature in our product. So it's like an ecosystem where some of us who are working in a white collar role at a desk, we are much more used to some of these features like on tools like Slack or uh, other HR platforms that we might use in a deskless job, because the person doesn't do most of their work in front of a screen. There it becomes an afterthought, and it's much harder for those managers to adapt and deliver a positive motivational experience to keep their entire team. And it's one of the very common challenges that these companies face is retaining their staff, because they spend a lot of time hiring and then training, and only to lose the staff because there isn't enough direction. And providing a platform like Agendrix helps managers keep their teams motivated, keep their expectations relatively level. Like the employee knows what they're expected to do, the manager knows whether that work got done or not, and there are safeguards that protect both parties in that equation. There's communications that can happen two-way or even one-to-many communication in the form of a news feed. And that's what Agendrix is all about. We help managers and employees make their time count.
Wow, I like how it's focused, at least, the couple features they talked about, the high fives and whatnot, how they're focused on keeping that kind of connection between, say, the manager and the worker, and kind of like just trying to make it more human in a way, right?
Exactly.
I love how you're making it happen with that. Now,
Exactly. And if I can add one more thing
yeah,
there,
please do.
a lot of managers that typically use or first use Agendrix are blown away by how easy it is to build and share the schedules, because that's the part where they face a big challenge. For example, many might be using a tool like Excel or another spreadsheet software to create a schedule, a work schedule. And it's fairly easy, right? Let's face it, there are thousands of templates that people can download to build a schedule. That's not the hard part. The hard part comes in where you're updating a schedule. You have a V1, you have a V1 final, you have a V2, V3 final, and so on and so forth. And making sure everyone's on the same page, making sure everyone gets the right information about when they have to do their work is one of the big hurdles that these managers face. And that's where we started as a product for Agendrix. All these other features were then added on, layered on based on our conversations with these managers who've adopted us. And now we've been in business for about 10 years. And all these features have come about because we are very focused on the right kind of customers that have these problems and what we can do to solve them for.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, I wanted to touch on the lead gen side of things, right? Your bread and butter, let's say.
Yeah.
How do most people discover you, and are there any channels that have become your go-to for bringing in new customers, especially from those industries, but also across all the industries that you work for and with?
Yeah, like with any successful business, word of mouth remains our single biggest channel, because we have a robust reputation in the first market that Agendrix launched, which would be French-speaking Canada. So that's Quebec. The company is headquartered in Sherbrooke in Quebec. And that presence in the market gives us solid cachet. Managers and business owners in Quebec love us. And word of mouth still remains the biggest driver for that particular market. The next two most important channels would be organic traffic, because we rely a lot on helpful content that we have curated over the last 10 years. That could take the form of blog articles. It could take the form of some of the Excel templates that I mentioned earlier. It could take the form of calculator style-free tools on our website. And of course, a lot of SEO work that goes on in the background by teams like mine. And the next most important channel, of course, is paid. But of course, this channel mix varies from one market to the other. Like I mentioned, we're huge in Quebec. We're making waves in the rest of Canada, but we're also significantly present in France and French-speaking Europe as a function of the amount of content that was generated over the course of the last 10 years in both English and French. And because the French market is relatively maybe lower in density of content, our content has had a lot of success in European French search engine rankings as well. And therefore, France and parts of Switzerland are also good areas for us where we make good waves. And that's been the three key channels that drive traffic for us.
Got it. Okay. And out of that traffic, and you'll see where I'm going with this, but I'm curious to know, where do people land? Do you have landing pages, or more than anything, I want to understand, because obviously, as you know, PathMonk is a website tool. How much of a role does your website play when it comes to pulling in new customers? And is there anything that you love to improve about it, or maybe anything that you think really shines at the moment?
Yeah, the website is very, very critical for Agendrix because we pride ourselves on, let's say, three broad pillars. One is our intuitive user experience. We believe that employees don't really want to be handheld through the process. So usability and intuitiveness is very important. And that is equally important for managers as well. And managers are those that sign up for Agendrix initially and subscribe. So our website then is designed to be self-serve and make it very easy for people to, one, quickly understand what we are all about, how much we cost. And in fact, one of our values is no BS. Like it's literally out there on our website. We believe in being upfront and transparent about what we are all about and what features we offer and what we do not too. So our website is very critical, and a lot of these campaigns do end up on, as you said, if it's an ad, it could be a landing page. If it is organic traffic, obviously it could be more content or feature page or tools and templates type of content. And in terms of the website, the other two big pillars that we rely on is our design. We are very proud of our design team and our values. We believe we want to make it a very aesthetically pleasing and attractive experience. And we invest a lot in that because that's where you gain the trust of people, because you need to be distinctive in a market where there are a dozen or more competitors. You need to be able to stand out and leave that impression to beat the creative fatigue that comes in. And then the third big pillar, of course, is the product. And the website acts as the ramp, which brings you into the product. And therefore, there is a seamlessness that you will see if anyone signs up between how the website works and how the product itself looks once you're inside it. The second part of your question about major strengths or what stands out on our website. I think this is a common challenge that many in marketing face and are probably by now tired. So it doesn't even come up as much, but measurement and attribution remains a big challenge and has been so for as long as I've been in marketing. Yes, there are tools that always promise to do 5% better than they did last year. Mm-hmm. Although if you're Google Analytics, you may not get that benefit of doubt. But the measurement and attribution challenges have only multiplied as a consequence of evolving privacy laws, multi-device behavior, and especially because people are in deskless jobs in our industry, it's even more difficult because almost every restaurant has a couple of televisions where my ads could play, but there's hardly a way for me to track down if it was an employee that saw an ad that streamed on whatever was playing on the TV, or a staff member or a manager. So the attribution game is quite hard, and the role that a website can play in that is something I would really love to solve. But in terms of strengths, our website does a really good job of educating users, offering them interactive kind of demos or video demos, and getting people to try the product because, like I mentioned earlier, our primary pitch is try our product. If you don't like it, that's fine. You don't need to put in a credit card to try our product.
Yeah.
It's a pretty simple and seamless sign up form. There's no risk involved. It's 21 days of free trial if you want it.
Yeah, it's not a bad deal at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
Now, Karthik, I just want to switch gears for a second, talk about you as a leader. As we go into the back half of our episode here, before we wrap things up, I would love us to jump into our rapid fire segment of the podcast, right? So it's just a few questions about you personally, about the industry in general, but without giving too much away, I would love to jump in. And the only unspoken rule we have for this segment is that for a concise question, we love a concise answer. Is that okay with you?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So, do you prefer watching, reading, or listening?
Listening.
Okay. What's the latest piece of content that you listen to? Could be a podcast, an audiobook, or whatever it may be that you picked up. And were there any gems or ideas that really stuck with you?
The most recent one was Lenny Rachinsky's podcast. I listened to Lenny quite a bit, but in the most recent one that I listened to, the topic was about how ChatGPT and OpenAI is engineering a change in consumer behavior and how product discovery occurs. And therefore, the ones to jump on board the soonest and adopt the platform for discovery and product growth will stand to gain the most. It is a risky proposition for sure. And the person that was being interviewed was someone who had previously worked on some huge products with Facebook when they launched with Zynga. So they made a very compelling case. And it's something I've been giving a lot of thought to recently too, given the prevalence of AI and how it has affected SEO and AEO, GEO, and so on.
Okay, maybe the next one then is related. So if you had a magic wand, right, in this case, it could be AI, and you could fix one frustrating thing in your marketing life with tech, what would it be?
Well, one is tough, but I will go back to one of the points I discussed earlier. It's about multi-channel and cross-device attribution, but one that a solution that can do that in a manner that is consistent with respecting the privacy laws and privacy expectations that citizens have. That includes us, because every marketer is also being marketed to by every other company in the world. So I care about privacy as much as the average person, and a solution that respects privacy but gives me thoughtful, timely suggestions on what I'm looking for would be amazing.
Yeah, I agree with that. That would be a good one for sure. What's one repetitive task that you do on a daily basis that you also love to put on autopilot forever?
It's maybe not as true now as it used to be, but reporting and diagnosis would be my pick. And what I mean by that is it's hard to identify solutions and brainstorm solutions when you spend 75% of your analytical time in actually getting the data and spotting the issue, and then only 25% on remedying it.
Mm. Okay. So you would you kind of try to automate that in such a way that you'd be able to maybe not spend as much time on it and
Yeah.
right. Makes sense. Okay. So for the last one, if you could go back and give your past self a quick pep talk at the start of your marketing journey and lead gen journey, what kind of advice would you give yourself?
It would be, maybe I might have to add a little bit of context here. I was trained as
Mm-hmm.
an engineer in electronics and communication, and I've went from that and 2 years as a programmer job to then take up marketing and lead generation. So initially, I was thinking in very black and white lines, with no shades of gray. But as I got into marketing, and the reason I got into marketing was my conversations with the people who I was building a product for taught me that it's not always A or B. It's not binary, and there's a lot more to it. So the advice that I would give myself would be, learn to be way more adaptable and agile, and focus on consumer behavior, because that's the one truth. Adapt with consumer behavior, and you'll always be successful as a marketer.
Yeah, you understand that you unlock pretty much everything, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's a good one. That's a good piece of wisdom to close with. Karthik, I want to thank you for being with us on the show today. And I also want to give you the last word. So if someone forgets everything about the interview today, what is the one thing that they should remember about your work and the work you guys are doing at Agendrix?
Awesome. Uh, the one thing I want to leave people with, and this might actually be a shared trait between what we at Agendrix do and what I as an individual marketer do, is there are just three keys to success in a business and in a career. That's the product for a company, or your output and outcomes as an individual in the career, and your ability to persuade people and bring people along. For a company, that could be about how it's marketed. For an individual, it's about building your personal brand. And then the third component, of course, is your ability to distribute that message. How do you get the word out? And how do you reach more people, network, build the brand by actually getting people to see it? So that would be my takeaway.
Okay, that's amazing. Thanks for sharing that with us. Karthik, if anyone wants to reach out to you guys, try out Agendrix, how can they do it? Where could they go?
Yeah, the easiest way is to go to www.agendrix.com. The website's available in English and in French, and accessible. The services are available anywhere in the world. And if anyone has questions or would like to follow up with me, you can find me on LinkedIn. You just have to look by Karthik BC. That's the URL on LinkedIn.
Okay, perfect. Now, again, thank you for joining us today, Karthik. It was a great conversation, and I hope you enjoyed it too.
My
Until next
pleasure.
time.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Bye, everyone.